You know I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in entertainment, media, sports, entrepreneurship, and so much more. But of course, Joe, what do we cover better than anybody else? Big Brother.
Brother.
It was only a matter of time before we got our guest on with us here today.
Right. The go-to reality TV podcast is becoming the go-to Big Brother podcast. Let's continue the momentum for the last couple of seasons. For the first time, we have a guest from season 27. Unfortunately, did not last too long in the house. However, that's to our benefit. We're very happy to have him on with us. And we welcome Zae Frederich to the show. Zae, thanks for doing this on incredibly short notice. We'll get to that at the beginning. But first off, you're looking good. How do you feel and how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Obviously, I didn't want to be on the podcast this soon. I'd rather be on like in October,
Yeah, if you
but
want.
but it is what it is. Like I got out sooner than I expected, and here I am, and I'm making the most of it.
Well, you made the most of your time though on the show because you made an impact. You got some good cutscenes and stuff, so I appreciate that. I always told Joe if he and I were on the show, he'd be looking to go for the long haul. I'd be coming out playing like guns a blazing right off the bat. So
Right,
I like your style, Zay. I don't know. Apparently, no one else liked your style and your cast.
right.
I don't know why they were targeting you. So we'll
I don't
talk
know
about
either, but it sucked.
we'll talk
Listen,
about that.
he's
We're gonna talk
super into
about
physical fitness. He's a threat.
He's a threat. We'll talk
Some
too
of
much
those guys
working out
get,
in the
yeah,
backyard, but we'll talk
right.
about the show in a little bit. But Zay, real name Isaiah. When did you decide, okay, I'm gonna go by Zay for the show?
They actually messaged me like 2 weeks I think before I left for the show, and they were like, "Hey, would you rather go by Isaiah or Zay?" And I was like, I'm pretty 50-50. Like I go by Isaiah, Zay. Like it's pretty interchangeable for most people. And so I was like, yeah, like Zay would be kind of cool. Like that's a little different. I've never gone by Zay on anything before, so that's what I did, and then I stuck
Now
with it.
you're
And now it's like
Zay.
I'm known by Zay. Like that's my name, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, sometimes people misspell Isaiah. I'm sure you're
True.
familiar.
Sometimes people misspell Zay too, though. Z-A-Y,
ZAY.
like all kinds of Z-A-I. I've seen that one,
Hmm.
but so I'm just getting my name misspelled regardless. But I don't take it personal.
All right. So obviously, Zay, you're a busy guy now. After the show, you were busy beforehand with your career and stuff. But what's the first app you're checking on your phone every day?
My first app I check on my phone. I mean, usually I go through my notifications, see like texts, things like that I've gotten from like friends and stuff like that. But Instagram's the main one that I use for like social media. I like Instagram Reels. I'll binge watch Instagram Reels for a couple hours. That's I try and keep up with my DMs the most on Instagram. I try and stay the most active on Instagram.
Fair enough. I like the answer text though, because we ask everybody. I don't know why people don't say that because that's you put your phone on the first thing that comes up on the alerts is the text. So
Right, and it's like that's where my friends and family contact me. So it's like I gotta be up to date on the text messages.
absolutely. So you're a Kentucky guy, grew up in
Yeah,
Kentucky.
grew up there. Yeah.
Have you ever been to the Kentucky Derby?
I have not, but my family actually moved to Lexington. So I actually went to when I was back visiting them last week. We actually went to like the stadium or wherever
Yeah,
to like watch the horses like practice in the morning. They woke me up really early
pretty
for that,
cool
but
there.
it was
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
You
it was
got
cool.
basketball down there? You Wildcats fan at all?
I mean, I go to BYU, so I'm a Cougar. I'm a Cougar fan, but
Okay.
I
All
did go to
right.
BYU. Who knows if I'll go back? But I would say like Kentucky, UK is probably my number two because I have the most like connection.
No, of course. Hometown school. So let's talk about BU, your decision to attend BYU because of your background. You decided to study business. So what was that, experience like?
I mean, I love BYU. I think it's a great school. I love Utah. Utah's sick. And so I growing up, like obviously I was raised in a Mormon household, and so it was like really no other option for me, like in my mind, where it was like I never even considered going anywhere else. It was just like, okay, I'm gonna go to BYU. Like I didn't even apply anywhere else actually. I literally just applied to BYU, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do if I don't get in. But I just kind of like assumed, like my grades are pretty good, so I was like, I'll probably get in. I'm not worried. So and I did, and so that's just where I went, and then and obviously a lot of stuff has changed my life. And so who knows if I'll go back? Who knows what I'll do? But my time at BYU I've loved. Like most of my friends are out here. Like I consider it home at this point.
Yeah, Jimmer Fredette, absolute legend at
Couple of good NCAA
BYU.
Right? I met him a
tournament
few times
appearances.
too.
Oh,
He's
that
a cool
must
guy.
have been
Yeah.
You
pretty
did.
cool. Yeah.
Where'd you meet him?
There was a cruise that we went on. So I was a cheerleader at BYU. So back in April, we went on a cruise. It was actually right before they reached out to me about Big Brother. And or right after, I mean, they reached out to me about Big Brother. And so I was on the cruise, and they brought a bunch of like BYU legends. So Jim was on there, and a bunch of other like legends, I guess, like sports legends from BYU.
Gotcha. So what was it like living in Mexico for a while during your missionary? And
So
you picked up some Spanish. We saw it on the show.
yeah, so I actually lived in Mexico. So I was called to Peru originally. It was
Okay.
during COVID. So I actually stayed in LA area the whole time. But I did get to speak Spanish. I'm fluent in Spanish, which was super cool. It's a super like awesome skill to have. And I love like the Latin culture, and I got to learn about the food, the language, all that kind of stuff. So it was really cool. It was really eye opening for me to get to experience that. And yeah, I love like, I mean, the mission was hard, but I love like what I've taken from it.
So you got a couple different things in your background, right? Sales, marketing type of guy, right? So talk about working as a sales manager for Zunex Pest Control. Is that it, right?
Yeah, so I was actually a minority partner at Zunex Pest Control. I actually sold my equity before I was in the show. I kind of quit, and then I was just jumping around before the show and just doing different sales positions at different stuff, all in door to door, but different products. So I did, right before the show I was actually in Arizona. That's where they filmed my intro video, and I was doing like internet stuff. And so I just kind of jumped all around, but Zunex was the most like the one I was at the most long term. It's kind of a family company, but I just decided it wasn't the best for me anymore, and so I moved on from that, and hopefully I hope to be mostly moved on from door to door at this point. I'd like to not have to go back and knock doors because it's a tough job, but we'll see what the future rises. I think Big Brother is a big opportunity for me to hopefully be able to chase my dreams and kind of figure out a different path that's more like more passionate about.
Absolutely fair enough there. No doubt about that. So you originally applied for Amazing Race, right? So how did you end up through the portal with the CBS family? And then when did they reach out to you about potentially doing Big Brother?
Yeah, so yeah, I applied for the Amazing Race with my buddy Sammy. Actually, this is his room that I'm in right now because I don't have a permanent spot in Utah yet. So we applied together for the Amazing Race. We cheered together at BYU, and then actually at Cheer Nationals, and we were in Florida in Daytona, and back in April, and then they texted me. They said, "Hey, this is like someone with the casting for Amazing Race. We showed your like thing to Jesse. We really liked you guys, but since Sammy started in Survivor a couple years ago." Then we can't take you guys on Amazing Race, but have you heard of Big Brother? This is kind of the text I got, and I was like, oh my gosh, like they reached out to me, and it was like blew my mind, and so then I texted back like, no, I'm not super familiar with it, but like I'd love to like learn about it and like see if it's something I feel like I could do, and so that's kind of how I got into it. They put me in touch with the casting director for Big Brother, and then I started going through the casting process, started watching the show, and I was like, yeah, I'd love like this is something I totally think I could do well at. Obviously, I was a little bit wrong, I got out first, but at the time, I was like, dang, I could kill at this, like I could do really good, and so then I went through the casting process, and that's how I got casted for it.
Yeah, well, the first week is always the toughest week to get through. From there, it could go anywhere. A lot of
Right.
people have left on the first week.
Right. I thought if I could last it that week, I would have had a good run. Like I thought I was in pretty good positioning. But yeah, it was just unfortunate. I feel like I didn't get to prove myself all the way.
Yeah. So how often did you do the hair, the bleach, the frost thing? And when you found out you were going on Big Brother, were you like, I gotta go get the hair done right now? What was the strategy there?
Yeah, so it's actually really funny. I'm super low maintenance. So what happened was I used to actually have like a big long curly mullet. And it was like permed and it was like a lot of I don't know. I'm just not I'm super low maintenance, so I just didn't like dealing with it all the time. And so actually in February I just buzzed and bleached my head. And so it was like super short, it was like a literally a buzz cut, and I bleached it, and then this was grown out from it. So it's like a tiny bit of blonde on the tips. But I had to keep my look the same from like, the casting when I started going through the casting to being on the show. And so they told me that I have to keep the blonde in my hair. But honestly, I didn't really want to like pay to have it redone again. Because it's expensive. And I was like, nah, like I actually my cousin actually she's in hair school. She actually did it. She did the buzz and bleach, so I didn't have to pay for it. And I was like, dang, it's like I'm like calling places, it's like $100 to go bleach your hair. I'm like get the frosted tips. And I was like, dang, like I don't want to do that. And so I just got a haircut, and I just told him like leave a little bit of blonde on the tip. That way I'm not like messing up my look, but like cut as much as they can off because I like it to be a little shorter. That way I don't have to like I'm so low maintenance. I don't like putting product in my hair or anything. Like I just wake up, I shower, I brush it off like this.
Yeah.
I'll maybe like push it up a little bit. Like that's as far as I go. I don't like to do a lot.
Yeah, I mean you weren't there long enough, so I can't ask you like what would your strategy have been about cutting your hair or whatnot.
Oh, I
But
had no idea what I was going to do with
if it
that.
grew out, it would look pretty funny because the tips would have been coming down.
Would
Right?
you have cut your hair if it was a part of a punishment, but a deal where like it would secure your safety?
Oh yeah, my hair would have been gone. I was ready to do whatever it took. I don't know if you guys noticed in the episode. As soon as they called for like the have-nots get safety this week, I was like, "Hey, sign me up, sign me up." I didn't get chosen, but that was part of my downfall. I didn't get chosen for that, but I wanted to. I would do anything it took to get safety in that house.
Yeah. So how did you find out that you were going to get cast? What was your reaction? And like how quickly then did you have to get ready to head out to LA?
So it's kind of funny, actually. Through the casting process, they're very vague. So even like after they fly you out to LA and they have in-person interviews with you, and they like you and that kind of stuff, and you can kind of tell they're like, okay, I think they like me, like I think I'm gonna get casted, but they're still very vague. Even when they gave me my key and did my intro video, they're pretty clear about, hey, you're top 20. So I'm like, wait, what does that mean? Like, am I an alternate? Like, I genuinely thought it was an alternate. I remember actually, even the last night in sequester, but like the night before they go and take us, I'd read online, and I don't think this is true because I think they actually tell the alternates if they're alternates. But I'd read online that they don't tell you if you're an alternate or not, and so I was so scared, and I was in my head. And I was after the last night of sequester. Sequester's hard. Last night they were late coming in to get the bags, and I was like, it like hit me all of a sudden. I was like, dude, I'm an alternate. I was like, they're gonna take me to the airport tomorrow. Like, I'm not even gonna go on the show. Like, this is frustrating. I was like having a little panic attack, and they came and got my bags, and it was fine. But so I never even got confirmation until literally I was on the show that I was actually on the show. If that makes sense. It was always very vague. It was all, and which they have to do. They have to keep it kind of vague in order for you to like still feel like you're earning it in a way.
Yeah.
And so I was fine with it. I knew it was kind of part of the process, but yeah. So I still always had my doubts, even leading up to the show, the entire time of whether or not I was actually going to get on the show.
Right. Now, did anything surprise you about the way the show plays out? Like, obviously, live eviction night is filmed like 3, 4 hours before it's on live. Everything is like so behind everything. But anything from the production process surprise you?
I mean, a lot of stuff surprised me because I've never been into the scene of like the like on set. I've never been on set before. I didn't even
Yeah.
know how any of that kind of stuff works. So I was asking a ton of questions, and like it was like all very surprising to me. Just the way that I'm trying to think of specific examples of like something that would be. I mean,
Yeah. Was it loud? Was it very bright?
Bright, right? We get a lot of bright. It's a little
it's very bright in
chilly
the
or
house.
cool. Like the temperature is a little cooler than you
A
think.
little
Is there
cooler
anything
for
that?
the equipment, yeah. And it's
Yeah,
crazy because like they'll wake you up in the morning and like man, they just turn on the lights and it's brutal. Like it is like you're just in your deep sleep. You got like 4 hours sleep because like you were up late the night before, and then all of a sudden this boom, you feel like just like the sun is spawned into your room, and then like yeah, it is brutal. So it wakes you up though, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Can't sleep through that.
What was it like, sharing one shower, one bathroom stall with everybody, and how long really was Ashley's showers?
I mean, her showers were pretty long. That's why I didn't bat an eye at the shower gate thing. But then they told me afterwards that it was only like a 30 something minute shower. Which don't get me wrong, that's still pretty long, right? Like I think the longest I was in there. Honestly, probably all my showers in the house added up were maybe less than 30 minutes, if I'm being honest. But I will say that I guess it was kind of blown out of proportion. Honestly, for me, the bathroom thing didn't bother me that much. Like you think with that many people sharing basically one bathroom, you'd be waiting all the time, you'd be annoyed, it'd be gross. But like honestly, I had to wipe pee off the seat twice, maybe two, 3 times. Other than that, like I was chilling. I maybe waited 5 minutes tops,
Well,
and
you were just living in a dorm though, right? So
right?
ago.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I'm
same
used to. I'm
concept.
used to living with a bunch of guys. Like this was nothing.
that's great. So let's talk about, what could have been. Ended up crumbling. And I'd be very annoyed if I was you, but the Burger Boys. I thought that was gonna be good. Riley just totally turned his back on you. What,
Simp.
what
He's simping for
happened there?
Catherine. He's simping for Catherine. I think that's what it came down to. From what I've seen, from what I understand, is just he's not in there to play the game. He's in there to try and simp for a girl that doesn't like him. and so, it's sad because I think that is what cost me the game. Because I tried with Lauren multiple times. She was so close to voting for me, but she couldn't tell me why she couldn't. She just said she didn't want to vote against the. A lot of people were telling me that I actually almost had Ashley's vote as well. I had convinced her that it would be better for her game to go against Amy because Amy was going to get out anyway, is what I told her. And she even told me my exit and like my goodbye message. She was like, "Look, I was gonna vote, but I just didn't think you had the numbers." And so, and it's all because they knew that Riley wasn't gonna keep me, and I didn't know that. And so when I was counting the numbers, I was like, "I think I'm good. I think I have the tie." And Vinny would have kept me in the tie. But yeah, so the Burger Boys crumbled after week one. It was kind of funny because if you think about it, like Will actually almost flipped too. And then Vinny couldn't vote, and so out of the 5 people in the alliance, it was pretty close. I almost had one vote from the alliance. So
Horrible.
the alliance was weak, I guess.
Well,
But yeah, I had high hopes for it if I would have stayed in, but it didn't
no
work out.
showmance for you, but you had a great bromance. How'd you feel about your guy Zach? All that emotion, him
Yeah,
crying hysterically with you being evicted.
yeah. I mean, I miss that guy a lot. Like such a great guy. We bonded like right
Yeah.
off the bat. We were just tight right off the bat, and I was like, man, like he just feels like he's one of my boys. Like someone I've known for years. And so it's kind of hard to just like being there for such a short time to grow that bond, to be, people don't realize like how much you get close to these people in such a short time because you're doing nothing but just talking to them and hanging out with them. And so it was really sad to just go after a week because I think he'll make a good run in the game and I won't see him for a long time. And it was just like sad that we had built such a good friendship so soon and it's just gone.
Have you watched the show at all since you've been home?
Yeah, so I've been watching. I've been trying to watch. I've watched, I'd say, most episodes. I haven't watched all of them, and then I haven't watched a ton of the live feeds. But I've been trying to keep up. I've just been so. I'm way more busy than I expected I would be, but it's in a
Yeah.
good way.
So where
Right.
did you stand in this? Because I think everybody on your cast except maybe Vince, it is like playing like really strange, not even trying to target Rachel. Rachel is just like walking to the finish line here, and someone's got to take a shot at her. I thought you would have took a shot if you
I would
stayed in
have.
the house the next
Of
week. You
course
were
you
ready
would
to get
have.
her out. So what? How do you feel about everybody just like being bamboozled by her? Because you kind of saw the big picture of like if we don't get her out, she's gonna get to the end, and of course she's gonna. I'm not. She's like, I'm not gonna win if I'm in the final two. Of course she's gonna win in the final
This is gonna
two.
win.
Dumb. Yeah, it's such a dumb. Yeah, such a dumb argument. Honestly. Yeah, I thought it was. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous because even if people, like, even if the house guests were thinking straight, like, even if they didn't want me in or they're not going to target Rachel themselves, I would have done it. And it just takes more sweat off their back. They know if I win
Yeah.
HOH, they're not a target.
I
Rachel is.
thought I thought you gave the best eviction night speech I ever heard. It made so much
Really?
sense. I was texting Joe during it. I'm like,
She
everything Zay
did.
is saying is true,
It's true.
and yet they
Yeah.
didn't care. They're
They
costing
didn't
Yeah.
care.
everyone's costing
Because
themselves the game.
Because they're too starstruck and all that. Yeah.
they were too scared to play, and you can see it's still they're all so scared to play. Like Lauren, who did you put up for noms? The easiest people to put up for noms to not go Florida
Lauren
on against.
had the worst HOH we've seen in
Oh, God.
years, and that was coming up
Ridiculous.
Jimmy's HOH, which was terrible as well.
2 consecutive
Ridiculous.
terrible HOHs.
Dude, I would have had fun if I would have won HOH. It would have been awesome. Like I
So
would
if you
have put
would
up
have
Rachel,
won
I would put Jimmy.
HOH, if you would have won
Rachel and
HOH,
Jimmy
what
is
would
gonna put
your Rachel and Jimmy, was that would have
So
been your
Rachel for
plan?
sure. Obviously because she was my target. Jimmy, I would have put up because he's been playing both sides every eviction. He came to me, told me, "Oh, I'm gonna go to keep you in. Like, don't say anybody else. Like, I got you. Like, I promise. Like, blah blah." Blah. I'm like, "All right, I know this guy's BSing, but like, I'm not gonna call him out right now. I'd rather just win HOH and then call him out as I nominate him. I wouldn't have listened to. I feel like everyone is HOH is just hearing out everybody else and like just trying to play safe. Like, oh, what does the house want? What does this want? Nah. If I would have won that crap, I would have been like, all right, I don't want to hear what any of you guys have to say. I already know who I'm putting up. Like, I don't want to. I don't want to hear it. And I would have put up Rachel. I would have put Jimmy. I don't know who my third one would have been, but whoever I felt like was most closely aligned with Rachel, so that way she had one less vote. That's what I would have
You
done.
probably would
And I
put
would have felt
Amy up
been,
there if she was.
yeah, if Amy was still in, I would have put Amy. Yeah, and it would have been great. It would have been awesome. It would have been so much fun, but I didn't get the chance to.
So you're a chess enthusiast. Now, one of the things inside the house is you play chess, right? Who else do you think in the house is kind of a good chess player like yourself?
Yeah, the two others that were the best were Zach and Adrian were the best chess players. Morgan was actually pretty good as well for not knowing like really the strategies and stuff. I could tell she's smart by playing chess with her and kind of teaching her. I could see her like develop the strategies in her head, and I was like, okay, she knows what she's doing. Like she's smart. But I wouldn't even say I'm like it's kind of scared me a little bit because like I wouldn't even say I'm like an amazing chess player or anything. Like I used to play like a lot growing up, like in middle school, but I haven't played a game in like years before the house. And so then when we did my intro video, they wanted me to get a chess spot because I mentioned in one of the interviews. I'm like, oh yeah, I was playing chess, and then I was like, dang, like if they put me in my intro, like as this big chess guy, I'm a great at chess, and I go in the house and I just start getting cooked by everybody, it's gonna be really embarrassing. And so luckily, I think I was probably the best chess player in the house, so it wasn't embarrassing for me. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm like amazing like chess master or anything like that. I'm like pretty decent, I would say. I know how the game works really well. I know the strategies, but I'm not like amazing by any means.
Adrian, I'm not surprised.
Poor Adrian, he got a raw
Adrian
deal.
got screwed.
He did.
Dude,
He
I was
should
talking with him on the
have put
phone.
him in the Burger Boys instead of Riley.
I know I should have. He's actually somebody that I wanted to work with long term. He was one of my because he was one of the most honest people that I feel like I worked with, and so he was somebody that I wanted to work with a lot.
Okay. So let's talk about one move in particular that I think at some point is going to go a long way, and that is the conversation that Ava had to flip the Vince and Zach votes, because if those votes don't flip, we're looking at a 6-6 tie on eviction night, right?
Adrian
Yeah.
stays.
So whose game do you think benefited the most from that? Do you think it was Ava, or do you think it's your boy Zach's, or do you think it's Vince's?
I don't think it was the right move for Zach and Vinny. I haven't kept up to date as much as I should have on it to know every single detail about everything. But from what I understand, Adrian is a straight shooter. He's a loyal guy. Like he's somebody that I would have wanted on my side. I would have never
Right,
backstabbed Adrian because
right.
he's somebody that's he's a good guy. Like he's somebody I trusted a lot, and I feel like they trusted him a lot. And so I feel like it was not the right move for them to just. I don't even fully understand the reasoning of why they wanted to blindside. I guess it's so they're on the right side of the vote, and so they don't get targeted. I guess,
They got
but I don't know.
tricked.
I think people
That's
are just playing
fine.
so scared in this game. Like people need to be able to make themselves a target and like not be. I mean, maybe that's why I got out first, is because I didn't care about doing that. But so maybe they're playing the right game. Who knows? But I feel like people are just playing so scared. It's not fun to watch. It's not entertaining. Like I would have 100% if I was in their position. I would have told Ava, hell no. Like I'm keeping my boy
Yeah.
Adrian, and I'm gonna go run far with Adrian.
And how about Lauren? She's so distraught after Adrian gets out. Like she couldn't believe it happened. She put him on the block. It was her fault, and she could have told those guys, vote this way. I'll do the tiebreaker. I'll send
And I'm
Will
not,
Kelly home.
and we made this point before, last night when Nick and I were talking. Adrian was the kind of person who I don't think was ever going to go after somebody like Lauren. You know what I mean? So we don't
Dumb move on her
understand,
part.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not a smart move on her part. She's playing a scared game. She doesn't want to make herself a target, make herself, she's just trying to play long. But honestly, if she keeps on playing like this, like even if she makes the top two, she's not going to win. So she's like, it's just not smart. In my opinion, I mean, it's just not that it wasn't the best move for her. Like Adrian would have been somebody that would have been a number for her. They could have worked together to try and take out little trio, Rachel, Mickey, Morgan, all of them that are all working together very closely. And no one's taking the shots when they have the chance. And it's just it's kind of ridiculous in my opinion, that nobody wants to play this game. That they try and just take out whoever they can as the biggest threat that's on the block and keep as many floaters in the house as they can to try and I don't know do whatever, make it boring for everybody.
So we know where your rooting interest is with your boy Zach. So outside of your close friend, is there anybody else in particular that you have a personal rooting interest for? And outside of that, just based on a pure strategy standpoint, who do you think will actually go far and possibly win the game?
Yeah. So my prediction, I mean, who I'd like to see win, I mean, I would say I'm close with Zach and probably Keanu. I don't think Keanu will last too much longer, but like if he did somehow, like that'd be cool with me. Like I love Keanu. But as far as who I think would win, at this point, I would say my number one pick would be Morgan. She's really well positioned, I would say, in the house. She's a crazy threat that nobody's considering a threat. Like she's really athletic, really smart, really strategic. She has everything going for her. She has a good social game. But nobody's like really like gunning for her, which is crazy in my mind. But it's just how the game's playing out. And then I would say Vinny as well. I think is very well positioned. He's has good relationships with everyone. I think winning the first HOH is huge. Like I wanted to get in there and try and compete for the first HOH because I think you're able to kind of navigate and kind of choose who you want to work with. And so I think he has a lot of sides playing in his favor right now.
Yeah, and the only issue with Zach is he's got to be careful if he listens to Lauren here because he's in a good spot, but she could take him down if she has another HOH and he's just following the leads. But I agree with you. Morgan is a big threat and she's playing a good game so far. So let's talk about you. All right. So you get out there, talk to Julie. Then what? What's like the next 24 hours like for you? It must have been a whirlwind.
Yeah, it is wild. So they pull me into a room. They pull me out. They pull me into a little room. And then there's like all these like exit interview stuff. And so I'm going through like the psychologist, all this kind of stuff of like talking to you about like post game stuff and like how you're doing mentally and all this kind of stuff. And then and there's snacks and like the low key like the interviews like there's like sometimes like 20 minutes in between interviews like the technical difficulty. So I was just sitting there munching snacks like probably like 3,000 calories. It was like terrible. But then they give you back a lot of your stuff that they confiscated, which I had a ton of confiscated stuff because I came straight from a work trip. So I had like my Xbox, I had like a bunch of clothes that were like obviously I wasn't planning on bringing the show, but like that they had to confiscate. And so then they give you back all your stuff, and then you hop in the car and you drive back to the hotel, and then they you just go to bed. Basically, you chat with the homie that works there, and that he kind of stays and like make sure that you don't I don't know escape or something like that. And so he's in the other hotel room right next to you, and then you wake up the next morning, they get you breakfast, they get you dinner that night, breakfast the next morning. You do a bunch of press interviews. You have like a whole long list of press interviews. You're on that. They have like the backdrop set up, the lighting, the camera, everything. And then after that, you get your phone back, and then you can call people, and then you head to the airport, and then you're at the airport, and then you head home. And then I flew out to Kentucky to visit my family because I haven't seen them in a while.
Okay.
And
So
so yeah, that was my
they
next
paid
24
for your
hours.
flight to Kentucky. You're like, I'm going to Kentucky, and there you go.
Yeah, they just asked me like where, I guess they told my mom like there's a chance I'll get out. I'm on the block. Where would she want me to fly? Because I originally told him Utah, but then my mom was like, well, ask him if he would be okay with flying back to Kentucky. We'd love to see him. And so they flew back to Kentucky. I stayed there for a couple weeks, and then I flew back out here to Utah like 2 days ago.
Nice. All right, so what was it like the first time you put your phone back on? How many notifications? What was your Instagram like? And then what was the first time after you're off the show that you got recognized in public?
Yeah, super funny. So it was kind of funny. So I had some different stuff that I was working on, like as far as like financial stuff that I had to send my phone back to my family before I went on the show. So I bought a flip phone before I went out there, and that's what I traveled with because they required you to have a phone. And so I just bought a little flip phone. I didn't know how to use it, but that's what I traveled with. I did have my iPad though, and so I checked my Instagram at least on my iPad, and it was wild. There were like I had like thousands of DMs. I was trying to go through and respond to them. And like tons of messages, tons of like stuff, and so it's really overwhelming. Looking at my
including our
name
own,
on Google.
right?
No what?
Including our own DM, right?
Yeah, which
There's
I obviously I didn't get back to as well as I should have. So sorry, guys, but at least we were able to
We
connect by
didn't
the end.
DM. We need to work though. Email, old-fashioned
It
way. I emailed
exactly it
Zay's
worked out.
Hotmail account first.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, not the Gmail. The Gmail is the one I use.
Yes.
But yeah, so it was really overwhelming. So many messages, so many DMs, so many of like everything. I'm trying to go through it. I was looking at my name all over the place. Reading all the things that people hate about me. They read all the things people like about me. Really interesting. At first it's like a little hard to like read all that because like obviously I feel like I get along with most people. Most people don't like hate me, and then they read, and I'm like, dang, like a lot of people hate me. That's crazy. But and then I just take it with a grain of salt. And so I'm just in the airport reading all of that, and then what was the other part of your question? It was
First time you recognized in public.
yeah, it was actually at the airport. On my way home, I had a connection in Dallas, and a guy said Zay, and I had my big brother bag, and he's like Zay, and I was like, that's me. And I was like, obviously, I was still a little bit sad. I was kind of low energy. I was a little bit sad because I was like, dang, like this is really happening. Like I'm really in the airport going home right now. But yeah, it was my first time meeting a fan. Took a selfie with me, posted on a story, and yeah, and then I sat in my house in Kentucky, pretty much inside all day for like a week straight. So I didn't really get recognized since then. But now I'm back in Utah. I'm seeing people, meeting people.
All right. Well, that is an awesome story. Whirlwind 48 hours there for you coming out of the
For
house.
real.
Sure. And on the flip side, the sequester, how long was that before you ended up on the show?
10 days, I think, like a
Oh,
week and a
wow.
half,
So you're
11
just
days. Yeah.
locked in a room in the hotel room, no TV.
No, so I walked in actually, and I was like, "Dang, this is gonna be kind of nice." Like, 'cause I see a big TV, a big bed. I'm like, "Dang, this could be worse." I lay down, trying to turn on the TV. They'd unplug the TV, but they had a little like tiny DVD player, like a like 6-inch screen, and then they had a binder full of like DVDs. You could just call an order. So there's a phone, you pick it up, and it automatically dials downstairs to like where they are, and then you can request snacks. They'll call you for, like to get your meal orders, and like honestly, it wasn't like horrible. Like it was kind of boring. It was kind of like lonely in there, but I just binge watched tons of movies. Like I was kind of hoping they'd actually have Big Brother in there. That was my goal because I only watched one season before. I was like, oh, I'll go into Sequester. I'll watch like 4 seasons, in the time I'm in there. But they didn't have Big Brother, so I was like, oh well, I guess I'm raw dogging, the show. And so
Did you have a
so I
window?
watched
Did you have a
all.
balcony?
No balcony, but there was a window, so I could at least look out and like see,
Done.
cars. See the other side of the hotel. It was kind of nice. I could tan a little bit for like an hour. There was like sunlight going through the room where I could lay down and tan a little bit. But I watched a ton of movies. I watched all
So
of
how
Breaking
how was
Bad.
that for 10 days? No gym. How was that?
So they hooked me up with some resistance bands and some dumbbells. But honestly, I was in really really good shape right before going on the show, and I got a little bit out of shape like on the show and in sequester
Yeah.
because it's hard to work out with like no music, no gym. Like
Yep.
it was just hard, and I had nothing better to do. But it was just hard to get the motivation to work out. So I just didn't like Zach was telling me he like would walk 10,000 steps a day in there, walk from wall to wall to wall. And I was like, man,
That's
you're
nuts.
tougher than I am because not me. I sat there in my bed for 10 hours a day, like watching more than that, watching movies, watching TV shows. But that was and eating. That was it. I would literally eat. I would eat a bunch and I would take a nap. It was like terribly unhealthy. And I would wake up next time there's meal coming, and I would watch a movie, eat, take a nap. That was basically my routine.
Back on the grind now, though, right? Back.
Yeah, I'm
What was
back
it
to the
like the
grind.
first time back to the gym after the show?
Oh, it felt great. I missed the gym like that. That's my happy place. Like I'm just passionate about fitness, and so it was felt great to go back. Actually, even coming back though home, because I flew back to Kentucky. I don't have a gym in Kentucky, and so my parents have like a little like thing connected to the wall. It's like an at-home gym thing. I think it's called like a tonal or something like that. And it was like I used it. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite. But I used that for a little bit while I was in Kentucky, and then I haven't even gone back to the gym until 2 days ago. It was my first time actually back at the gym, and it felt amazing. And like I'm actually a little bit sore. Like I hit a little chest day yesterday. I'm sore from it a little bit, which I don't usually get sore, but I am, and it feels great. So I'm getting back on the grind. And my diet is back dialed in. I actually want to get into like personal training, that kind of stuff, and so I got to lock in
Yeah.
like extra hard in these next couple months.
Well, Zay, whenever you're in New York, You come out, you see us. Joe will hook you up with a gym. He's above his gym right now. He's got the keys.
Yeah.
It's a professional gym at a college. He's got the keys.
College. That's
So you
right.
can come on in. He'll hook you up with the gym.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. I would love that. And I just ordered a camera too, so I'll get some content in there.
Yeah,
It can
absolutely.
happen.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That would be sick. I was just in New York over Christmas. My brother lived there for a little bit. My older
Oh,
brother, so I was
nice.
visiting him. So it was a cool spot. I liked it.
All right. Well, let's see.
Got to
We'll see
come
what
back
happens
here.
then.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Zay, in your life, in your career, in your Big Brother time, what has been your I'm right moment? What I mean by that, it's a time or place you wanted to pursue something, so you asked somebody for advice, and they were like, Zay, Isaiah, terrible idea. Don't even try it. It's not going to work out. And you said to them, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and try it anyway. And in the end, you will see why it is that I'm right about this, and I can tell you, I told you so.
Man, I feel like I've had so many moments like that because I am very different than I think like my general circle. I mean, like, my family. Like, I'm very different than my family. I'm very different than everybody. So I feel like it's been a combination of things. Like me, separating myself from the church was a big one for me.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, hey, like this is
Yeah.
the best for me, and I'm so happy I did it. I think me, like I've talked about dropping out of college for a while, and I think I'm probably going to. I haven't made up my mind 100% yet, but my family's very big on education. Like my brother's graduated from Columbia in New York. That's why I was visiting him, and so they're like very like smart, educated people. And I'm like, nah, like I don't like that. I can do my own thing. I can be successful without college. And so I think that's a big moment that I've had. It's been like a I'm right moment. Um,
Yeah.
and I would say even like going on the show and things like that, where people are like, hey, this isn't going to benefit you. You need to like take a traditional route, go get in a good job, go to school, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, nah, like I'd rather go do cool stuff, memorable stuff, all that kind of stuff. And so I think I've had so many moments. I don't think there's one specific one, but I don't know. Does that answer the
Yeah.
question
No,
well? Or
I think you have a really good one that has already happened, right? The
okay,
separation from the Mormon Church, which is
Yeah. It's
very
big.
difficult, right, for somebody like you to kind of just
very
admit that
difficult.
and talk about that publicly. But also your decision to possibly want to drop out and just go into business for yourself. And again, you've got a little bit of a marketing sales background. Obviously now with your exposure here, you don't have to necessarily go door to door anymore. But I,
Yeah.
I also think that is a future way to answer the question, which I don't think we've ever gotten a future. This will be
Yeah.
my I'm right moment, right,
And
Nick?
let's give a shout out to your brother Zachary. This guy,
Yeah.
robotics, smart
Yes.
machines, MBA, Columbia, smart family.
Yeah, he's a smart. All my family's really smart. My sister's in med school. My other brother's about to go to vet school. They're all like very smart, but they're more traditional. They don't
Right.
mind being in school for 8 years. That's not me. You will not catch
Right.
me in school for that long. Like I'd rather just go do cool stuff, enjoy my life while I'm young instead of sitting in a classroom
Where
all
do
day.
where do you fall in the order of the siblings?
Yeah, so I'm number four of six. So there's six kids. I'm the fourth. So I'm the younger middle child.
Wow. So you got middle child syndrome and you're from a big family. So
It's extra
usually,
bad.
yeah, I was gonna say the the way I guess they say is that the youngest is usually the most rebellious. From my experience, usually when I see my friends and families of 3 and 4, usually it's one of the middle children who's actually the most rebellious.
Hey,
Is
I
that
would
the way
say
it's in your
yeah.
case?
I definitely would be because I'm the only one, that's separated from what our parents taught us from a young age. Everyone else is still very involved. The youngest right now is on a mission for the church right now. He was a little bit rebellious growing up, like in high school. I would say he's the most rebellious because I was very innocent growing up. I never did anything rebellious. But obviously, as I grew up and I started developing my own opinions and my own perspective on life, then I don't even consider being rebellious. Because I didn't do it to try and like be like, oh, look at me, like I'm breaking all the rules. But I guess off of a definition on the book definition, then yeah, I guess I am the most rebellious out of the family.
Well, you know what they say, and my accent's not as good as yours, but espero lo inesperado.
Espero lo inesperado, exactly.
There you
Expect the
go.
unexpected. And Joe, it's a shame we never got to see Zay in an endurance competition with his
Right.
cheerleading background where he'd mop the
Such a
floor.
shame.
Such a
I would have done
shame.
good. I would have
You
busted
and
my
I
ass.
think Adrian would have done well.
We would
There's a
have.
story that Adrian had a wall type of comp built at
Yeah, in
home
the
that
intro
was
video, he's
super
like
famous.
practicing.
Yeah,
He's doing good.
would have loved to seen you guys go a little bit further in the game, but
Hey, me
yeah,
too. Super sad.
super sad. But the exposure, like I said, is good. And you got your held out high, and you're just an optimistic, very upbeat type of guy. You're gonna land on your feet very quickly. You got a couple of different things going on, and we appreciate the fact that you did this on very, very short notice with us. Once you finally got to answering our DM, but We'll talk about that more when you come to New York. So hopefully you come to New York soon. But thanks, Zay. We appreciate your time. Wish you the best of luck moving forward. And if there's anything else you would personally like to share or promote for yourself, by all means, go ahead. Where can we find you? And what's next?
Yeah, I mean, what's next for me is I'm going to start an online personal training brand. I'm going to get, personal trainer certified. I'm already working on, kind of developing like a little app that I can use. And so I'm going to start hopefully taking on clients I want to launch around the finale time. And so that's next for me. You can always find me. I'm most active on Instagram. So it's Zae, ZAE underscore Fred. So my last name is Frederick. So that's where you can find me. And keep in touch there. And people, if they're interested in personal training, I want to kind of develop more of like a realistic lifestyle type personal training where I kind of work with people where they're at. It's not just like unrealistic, like, oh, you have to eat so perfect all the time. Like, no, it's like meeting people where they're at and helping them to reach their goals in a realistic way where they're not going to relapse. And so that's kind of my goal because fitness is something super important to me. It's always been something I've loved to do. So I want to help people to also be able to accomplish their goals in that. And so I'm going to be launching soon. If people want to check it out, then I'd be more than happy to help them out.
Well, we're looking forward to that. Zay, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. That's going to do it here for this episode of You Know I'm Right. For our very special guest, Zay, my co-host, Joe, I'm Nick, and this has been You Know I'm Right.